Welcome to the NCDWI Guide podcast, where defenders of the Constitution assemble to prepare for courtroom battle and firm owners gather to develop marketing strategies that will revolutionize the practice of criminal defense. Here's your host, the NCDWI guy, Jake Minnick.
Hello, fellow freedom fighters, and welcome to episode 245 of the NCDWI Guy podcast. In a bustling meadow, a farmer needed help harvesting his golden crops. He sent out a call to two animals, the swift hare and the steady tortoise. The hare, confident in his speed, thought, I'll rest a bit and call the farmer later. He'll wait for me. I'm the fastest in the meadow. Meanwhile, the tortoise, though slow, immediately responded to the farmer's call, offering his steady work. Impressed by the tortoise's prompt reply, the farmer hired him on the spot. By the time the hare finally reached out, the harvest was already complete, and the farmer had no need for another worker. And that right there is a fable written by the illustrious ChatGPT. In preparing for this podcast, I asked ChatGPT to write me a short fable explaining the importance of being fast and responding to potential clients. And I love the tweak on the tortoise and the hare story that we all know from growing up. I mean, that's just like one of the ones that is just in the back of the mind anyways. So I love that it played off of a fable that is already widely well known. And so today we are talking about the importance of speed when it comes to converting potential clients. One of the emphases, if that's the right word, I don't know if that's the plural of emphasis, but one of the major emphasis points, again, hopefully that's right, emphasis points that we're making at the office this year is on a higher conversion rate. And that's because if you want to increase the number of clients that you are able to help, that you're able to provide services for, there's a couple ways that you can do that. One is to get more clients to call you. And then, let's say you're about 30% of those clients are actually hiring you. The more calls that you get in on the phone, the more clients that you're going to have on that 30% conversion rate. But the other way to increase your clients without increasing your marketing, without increasing the number of calls that comes in, is through increasing the conversion rate for the clients that do reach out to you about their case. And to me, this is where most firms, and very much on our end, including us, leave a lot on the table. To kind of put this in a sports context, there in the American League, the on-base percentage is a big deal, right? Like on-base percentage, getting on base is extremely important, probably more important than batting average in terms of the key statistic for offense is how often does a player get on base. And if you've ever watched the movie Moneyball, great scene towards the beginning of the movie where they're all sitting around in a room. The entire Oakland scouting group is sitting around in a room, and Billy Beane, played by Brad Pitt, basically points out the fact that we can't replace the talent that we lost last year in terms of just these high-profile players. But if we can replace them with players that get on base just as frequently, that are lesser known than basically we haven't lost anything, even though we don't have the high profile players. And that's kind of being simplistic about it, but that's the scene wrapped up in a nutshell. Love that. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite business movies, one of my favorite movies. Love Brad Pitt as an actor. But in the American League this past year, Aaron Judge led the American League, getting on base at a 489 percentage. Got on base, nearly 50% of his at bats. He got on base. On base percentage 489. The 50th ranked player in the American League is Andrew Benintendi, Chicago White Sox. He got on base at a 289 percentage. 289. So 459 versus 289. And I think I said 489 for Aaron Judge. 459. 459 versus 289 at the 50th position. And obviously that's not real. That's still pretty good. Like being in the top 50 players is still doing pretty well from an offensive standpoint. But there's a huge difference there. So for every 100 at bats that Benintendi is taking versus Judge, he is getting on base 17 times less than Aaron Judge. So one way to get on base more would be to get more at bats. That's great, right? Like if you're in the lineup that is offensively high powered, you might get to the plate 5 times in a game versus 3 or 4 times if you're on a poor offensive team. So one way to get on base more is to have more at bats, and players that are on high octane offenses in the major leagues get more at bats because you're moving through the lineup more and more times. But the other way to get on base more is to increase your on base percentage for the at bats that you take. And again, going from position or rank number 1 to rank number 50, 17 times more out of 100 that Judge is getting on base versus the 50th ranked player. Huge statistic, humongous difference. And so it goes in the law and in every type of business. A client calls in with a case that we can help on. Great. You potentially put money into getting that client to give you a call, whether it's through Google ads, Google local service ads, Facebook, billboards, radio commercials, however it is that you are getting clients to call you, direct mailings, whatever the basis is for clients calling you, that's great. But what percent of those clients are hiring you? And how do you increase that? So first of all, this is going to be a multi-part series on increasing your conversion rate. First part of the analysis is, where is my baseline currently? What percentage of clients that call me are actually retaining me to help them on their case? That's question number 1. Second question is, how do I increase that conversion rate? How do I make it so that more clients call me about their case? I'm sorry, more clients retain me when they call me about their case. So here's tip number 1 to get us off the ground. And this is nothing sexy. This is nothing really that is unimportant, but I think it's something that we have to be diligent and disciplined about doing, is incredibly immediate follow-up to potential clients. So tip number 1 for increasing your conversion rate is to increase the speed with which you conduct a consult for a client that has contacted you about their matter. And the great thing about this particular tip is it is 100% within your individual control. 100%. Now, this is true for everybody within a law firm, whether that, so if you're a firm of one, then it's true of you, obviously, and it's true potentially at multiple touch points. But if you're in a firm that has a legal assistant or somebody else that is responsible for answering phones or contacting clients back initially, this is true at multiple layers, because basically the key is when somebody contacts you, whether that's through an online message, whether that's through a phone call, how quickly is that information getting passed into the appropriate hands so that the person that is assigned to do the consult can get that person called back. So step number one, call comes in, message comes in, lead comes in. How quickly are you getting that assigned to the right person? The person that is assigned to doing consults cannot do the consult if they don't know they're supposed to call somebody back. Secondly, how quickly, once that is assigned, and again, this may all be the same person, but how quickly is the person that is assigned to do the consult calling somebody back? So just to give a very recent example of this, I had a case that I was assigned to consult on about 3 months back. The case got assigned to me about 15 minutes before I called the client back. In the lead intake, it indicated that we had been recommended by another lawyer, so there was already a bent towards getting us involved on the case. And then immediately I called this client back. And this is on a DWI case. So for us as a law firm, high value, because this is something that we very much concentrate in. And 15 minutes later, when I called this client back, she answered the phone. I said, "Hey, I got your message. I heard that you got sent over our way by the referring lawyer. How can I help you?" And she said, "Oh, thank you, but I've already hired another attorney." She hadn't just spoken with another lawyer. She hadn't just had a consult. She hadn't just reached out to another lawyer's office. She had already called another lawyer's office, had a consultation, and hired that lawyer in that 15-minute period. And we had all of the competitive advantage. A referral is gold. When somebody calls you in on a referred case, you're already in the driver's seat. You don't even have to sell that hard. But one thing that may beat a referral or high trust at this point in this day and age, in this world that we live in of immediate response, is speed. Speed. If you have a difficult time getting in touch with your lawyer, if you're not getting calls back, if you're not getting follow-up, that is a huge red flag for the client. It makes it difficult for them to hire you because they can't even talk to you. It makes it difficult for them to get the information that they need to make the decisions going forward. I've shared this on the podcast in the past, but I think it is worth repeating because it is so illustrative of the difficulty of getting in touch with lawyers. When I was promoting the Freedom Fighter Summit over the past 2 years, I have personally contacted about 400 lawyer offices across the state of North Carolina. Reached out to criminal defense lawyers, trying to let them know about the summit, basically trying to help them improve their practices through the amazing opportunity that the summit presents. This is literally a conference designed for criminal defense lawyers to improve their businesses, specifically for North Carolina criminal defense lawyers. And I called across the state expecting to get overwhelming response on that front, because it's basically like, specifically, this is the practice area and state that you are in, and here's the only marketing conference that is going to help improve your practice on this front. It seems like an easy pitch on my side of things. But one of the major difficulties that I have was that I didn't get in touch with about 60% of the lawyers' offices that I called on the first try. And it didn't get much better on the second try. There was busy signals, voicemail, lack of response from anybody at the firm. Sometimes I would call in and it was immediately apparent that there was a third-party answering services that was responding to the call that were not very helpful. It was unbelievably eye-opening to see from the client's vantage point of somebody that could have been calling in with a new case how difficult it was to talk to anybody. In fact, I probably ultimately spoke with less than 20% of the lawyers that I called. This amazing opportunity that I'm trying to help lawyers improve their practice, 80% of the calls went unanswered. And I don't think it gets much better with potential clients. I don't think that that was just unique to me dialing the phone number versus anybody else. So one question that you should be asking yourself if you're a solo practitioner is, what percentage of calls am I missing while I'm in court? What percentage of calls am I not responding to? Secondly, if you are not a solo practitioner, you have somebody else answering the phones, you need to do undercover boss mode regularly. What percentage of calls are getting answered? How fast are we responding to missed calls? How fast are we responding to voicemails? How fast are we responding to incoming messaging leads, whether it's from Yelp or Google My Business or some other messaging system that you have on your website? How fast are we responding to potential clients about their case? We live in a world that is immediate information. Currently, this is not a futuristic thing. This is past. Like this has already been ongoing. You want to know the answer to something, you ask your phone. You want some music to play, you just say out loud, play music, right? Like there is no delay in terms of getting things done. You want to find a restaurant, you've got the concierge for restaurants in your phone system. Businesses that do not understand this, businesses that are not responding in this immediate way to inquiries are losing, are dying. And we are trying to get inventive as a firm. We've used third-party answering services. Currently, we're using an AI bot to answer calls after hours because I am so paranoid about not responding to clients immediately. But you have to be able to respond to clients in this world of immediate response at the first possible opportunity. Because clients, not all clients, but an increasing percentage of clients will move on to the next person if they're not getting answers to their questions, their concerns. They don't know what the consequences are going to be. They're in the dark. They want to get an answer to what they are facing. And if you're not responding immediately, like not just not responding, which a lot of, again, attorneys in my personal experience from my freedom fighters push the last couple of years just didn't respond at all. Some of them, there wasn't even a way to leave a voice message or anything. Like it was just basically if they didn't answer the phone, apparently, like they don't even know that you called. We're in a world where an increasing percentage of people are moving on to the next name that they can find because they're used to getting answers to their questions right now, this second, this moment. So if you want to increase your on-base percentage, If you want to be able to help more clients with their case, if you're a great lawyer, if you do good work in the courtroom, and you want more clients to be able to take advantage of your legal services, and you have a desire to help more people, you've got to increase your conversion rate. You got to increase your on-base percentage. Increasing the number of calls may, in all honesty, just create more work for you. So until you are converting at a high rate now, which is something that, again, we as a firm are very much focusing on in quarter number 1 of this year, it's not about how many more calls can we get. It's about how are we doing with the clients that are calling us looking for help on their case that we are not responding to, not responding timely to, not responding immediately to. If you want to help your clients, you have to do it immediately, because that is the expectation. Look forward to speaking with you again next time.